permitted in the UK, then that is a Department of Transport issue. If the boat is not up to scratch and not seaworthy and overloaded and all the other issues, that is a Department of Transport issue. So the driver, who is responsible for those animals, the driver is responsible, and that is clear in the legislation that the driver is responsible for stopping the wagon, for making sure the animals are watered and rested. If they're not with the animals all the time, then he's broken his responsibility. Who checks that the animals have had a rest? You know, there are an awful lot of things here that we need to be working on, and it isn't a one-pronged approach. We need to be looking at all these. And as you say, you've got RSPCA here. Do they have spot checks down here as well?
No,
So
never.
an issue there. It's probably the resources issue, but there is no reason why they shouldn't.
Well, obviously
They
they've
haven't
got
been to a
reason.
shipment yet. As far as I know, they haven't been to a shipment yet.
They should be there.
Well, maybe then we should be
Prevention
asking them to.
And as to the law, if a policeman sees you kicking your dog, you'll be arrested for animal cruelty. But the police can stand by and watch sheep with their legs sticking out, so they've obviously and they won't do a thing.
Yeah, they do.
You know, how can that not be? How can it be one law and then not another law? It's still animal cruelty.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, if you're not having much luck, then maybe you know there are certain things. Being an MEP is quite useful because you have a letterhead that you know makes people jump when their letter comes through.
You say the drivers are responsible, right? They come down there, they speed up down there, they hit that roundabout as fast as they can, they throw them animals from one side of the road to the other. They're looking after them animals, I don't know what they're doing.
You have to be there to see.
Lots of issues that we need to be working on. In the Parliament, we are looking again, and there is the campaign. I'm a member of what we have is an intergroup, which is a cross-party group of MPs who are concerned about special interests. And this one that I'm a member of is the Animal Welfare Intergroup, and it's that group that has set up the petition, the 8-hour petition, because we want to make sure that we can bring down the time that animals are kept on the road to 8 hours. There's been another campaign for horses to bring them down because they're allowed even longer time in the back of a truck. So there's a lot of legislation that we're looking at to tighten up at European level, but it is then also responsibility of the member states to implement what they agreed to in the council. So it's not as if we're telling them to do it. Nothing gets through that the member states haven't signed up to. So they've signed up to it, now they have to implement it. Every twist and turn we move at the moment, there's a resource issue because, as you all know, we haven't got any money in it. If there's money to be made by shipping these animals out, then there's money available to do the inspections too. And if that falls down on the lorries and the owners, then so be it. Yeah, it is quite concerning to hear that there's somebody who's doing the operating, as often happens, who's already got a bad reputation of animal cruelty, and I think there's something that we need to be looking at there.
Right, today, sorry to interrupt you, today, out of 5 lorries, guess how many were expected properly? 1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 lorries were only expected properly as at the port today.
Yeah.
And we have proof of this.
So the port authorities, I mean, how do they get involved?
Can I say something on that point?
Yeah.
With regards to the inspections, Ian and I had a meeting with Animal Health back in September, and we spoke across the table to the chap who actually does a lot of the inspections down here. He works for DEFRA, and we asked him exactly about this question, and he said that they actually inspect only something like 3 in 10 lorries. And we said, why is that? And he said, his answer was, they won't give us any more money to fund the further inspection. He said, we look over the other lorries, but we're not able to give them a proper inspection.
But if they're doing spot checks, then you know, and they know that they're if working properly, lorry drivers know that they're at risk of being spot checked, then you
But there's spot
start
checks,
being
it's
registered.
just going, climbing up the ladder, shining a torch, then
Not
you're
enough.
going
Can
into
I
the
just say
house.
something? I know most,
Not enough.
They just want to make sure that they're all alert, I suspect.
some people know
That's not enough.
It isn't enough, is it?
step
Clearly.
ladders, they're not allowed to use because of health and
What about the
safety.
injured animals that are injured, that can't see?
You can't see
They're
them.
supposed to be taken off one day.
No,
Are they supposed to be
it's not
euthanised?
acceptable what's happening.
By
We
drivers?
need to be working on all different fronts, and I'm here to help in any way that I can. And if that's picking up the phone and asking people
On the same subject, can I also say that we've been pushing DEFRA to give us an answer with regards to these inspections, because if the fact is that they don't have enough money to do the inspections properly, then you also need to consider who at the moment, nevertheless in the future, who at the moment is paying for these inspections. Well, the answer is you and I. It's taxpayers. And I've been trying to make the point through Laura Sands at the moment that it's absolutely ridiculous that we have a situation where on the water the carrier is gaining from the British taxpayer because we are funding the inspections at the port. My view is that the cost of the inspection should be put over to the operator who's making the money out of this business. It's quite wrong. In this day and age where the government is concerned about expenditure, it's quite wrong that we are paying for those inspections. In fact, there should be more inspections and they should all be paid for by the operator of the business, not us.
And Thanet Council should be charging more for their shipments.
Catherine, sorry. You know,
That is,
there's been a change here in Thanet. We now have a Labour council.
Yes, so I hear.
Now, well, hopefully they'll take more interest what's going on here than the past one.
Yeah.
Now, Clive is just behind you.
All right.
I'm sorry I'm a bit late. We've just been talking to the press outside.
Okay, so I think the press wants us to go outside.
But all I can say is that we are 100% behind this campaign to stop this trade. I certainly don't want the name of Thanet associated with this kind of trade. That's the worst thing in the world. It's absolutely awful, absolutely abhorrent, and we want it stopped. We are stuck in a legal position. We're caught in a sort of legal quagmire at the moment. But the bottom line is we're doing everything we possibly can. The previous administration did what they thought they could. We will step up the pressure in every way we possibly can. And Michelle, I put Michelle on the case straight away, Councillor Michelle Spencer, and she'll explain to you her approach to things and how she's going to deal with it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. Yes, but I do think that we have been told a few things about the law being difficult and the law is changing, really. That's the first thing. But at our level, I would like to step up the pressure in terms of what we do with the transporters. At the moment, they are just paying the minimum tariff, just a tariff, to use the port just for the animals going in and out. I want to see how we can impose that they pay more, that they have to use the facilities of the port, because at the moment we refuse to use the facilities, which means great hardship for the animals. The animals don't get a rest break. We want to impose the rest break, so we want to find a way of imposing on the transporters the use of the facilities of the port, which will mean costs for them, extra costs for them, and it will also mean imposing a rest break. Now we do know, we have been told that there are some farmers who are quite willing to allow their fields to be used for the animals to have a rest break. So I'm going to be seeing the officers of the council actually tomorrow morning to really thrash out what we can do. I think that we've done a fair amount so far, but we need to find a way through this, you know, meander our way through the legislation. If we can't do anything that is to do with the law, then we need to find a way, as an authority, to impose what we want the port to be used as. And,
Charge the
that's-
port by hour, not by day.
charge more, find a way of charging them more, so that the trade becomes unconscionable. And also, I want to find out from our MEP why it is that the cost of policing are paid for by DEFRA. Now, that's the taxpayers' money. That's the taxpayers' money. That's us. Why should we have to pay for the policing of a trade that is a hobby to us? But the transporters should have to pay for the cost of policing, if at all, because I don't see why there should be a cost of policing anyway. But there's no need to police you, I'm afraid. You know, so,
Can I ask a question? I mean, why have they moved to Thanet? Is it because Dover has become
originally, because Dover are renewing their berthing.
Oh, right, okay.
But we fear that Thanet is going to become the reserve port, and they're
Because
never going to go back to
Because if you make it too expensive and too difficult here, then what's to stop them going to somewhere else, or
Yes,
if
but
it gets too expensive?
this is where we need a coordination
No
between
one wants to
between
repair the
authorities.
port. No one wants to repair the berth what the Joe Line damaged in the first place. No one wants to take responsibility for it. That is the only reason why there's no animal exports from Dover, because no one wants to repair that berth. If someone repaired that berth, the Joe Line or whoever would definitely go back to Dover 100%.